So we really want to thank you for submitting all of your yonkoma over the holidays, taking that time, and for just, you gotta pat yourself on the back because you're the one who made the effort to do that in the matter in just a couple of weeks. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the fact that you guys are here right now, and it is, although we're a couple of days late to New Year, Happy
Mhm.
New Year nonetheless. I
Yes,
think that
happy
you
New
guys are
Year.
starting off very strongly, and I think that's great. I think that's great.
Mm-mm. Oh yeah, agreed, agreed. All right. So to start the year, yeah, we challenge you like as what Coach Fi said, we're challenging you again. We challenged you again to make your own Yonkoma manga. And today we'll be giving feedback to 8 holiday submissions. So correct me if I'm wrong, Coach Fi, it's gonna be four for tonight and then 4 submissions for our second session later, right? Yeah.
Yes, that is
Yeah.
correct.
Awesome, awesome. So, are you guys excited? I know I'm excited. If you are excited, just like we are, type I'm excited in the chat. Yeah. Okay, there we go. Yeah, Ikata is excited. We got Noah. We got Jim.
Nice.
Meeting.
Very good.
Yeah. Very, very nice.
I'm
Okay.
also very excited for you guys. Oh, and I
Yeah.
think we have a special guest who is coming into the
Yeah,
Zoom right
our
now. Oh,
mentor is here.
well, we will get to that in a little
In a
bit.
little
So,
bit. Yeah.
I am glad to see that you guys are excited just as much as we are. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, all right. So, since y'all are excited, I want you guys to stick around if you are an action taker who seriously wants to level up your manga and storytelling skills and learn from industry professionals. You are goal driven and believe that it's your life's mission to share your story and you're ready to commit and reach your full potential. And you are a determined mangaka who wants to put your story out into the world by joining contests and maybe eventually work with publishers. So if that sounds like you, okay, if this sounds like you, everyone, then I just want to say congratulations. So again, give yourselves another round of applause because you're here. And if you're, if you're not that type of person, you can leave the Zoom with no judgment here. Everyone has like different goals. We want to support people. We want to support people who believe in themselves and acknowledge that yes, I am a mangaka. Right now, you are a mangaka. What's that meme? Was that the Oprah Winfrey meme? Like you're a
Oh yeah.
mangaka. You get a thing. So here in the club, we say you're a
We
mangaka
in the club.
in the club. All right. Same goes for our peeps watching us on YouTube. Okay, you better declare that. Yeah. All right. That's awesome.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
guys. I am
Okay.
really glad
So
to see the enthusiasm.
yeah, like I'm feeling the energy here. That's the New Year energy right there.
So
Okay,
I
so
hope I hope you guys keep that, by the way, because you are
yeah,
going to need it.
you're gonna need it. Oh my gosh. Yeah, okay, so why should you listen to like these coaches yapping? Okay, so first I want to let you know that we've worked with amazing manga artists like Nao Yazawa, who made Wedding Peach, and of course Ren Asaya, who has also worked on manga and collabed on how to draw manga books. So together they have over 50 years of combined experience in the manga industry, and they've done it all. They've won contests, got published, taught beginner students in Japan on how to draw manga. And, basically they know what they're doing. We also work with Steph Pastrano, who is a professional webtoon artist. He started out on social media as a fan artist to popular shonen like Demon Slayer, My Hero Academia, and now he's the lead artist to an ongoing webtoon and is also working on Dojinshi. And of course, last but not the very least, and they are here in the Zoom right now. our
Woo!
We welcomed our new mentor. in our ranks the one, the only Arcrums, creator of the God's Bane series, as well as the Viz Originals one shot. Oh, Nami. Yeah. All right.
Shout
Yeah.
out to Jackson. Thank you
Shout
for coming
out.
by. Jackson is here right now, so give a
Yeah.
warm welcome to them as well, guys.
Yes, that's awesome. Yeah, so in the last 3 years, we've worked with nearly 400 beginner anime and manga artists, both local and globally. Okay, we've got what we've seen students' progress. Here's an example from Steven, who in less than a month has improved his paneling from sticking with static camera angles to more dynamic and engaging scenes with different angles and perspectives. We also have this amazing two-page manga that Garrett worked on in less than a month. So shout out to Garrett if you're watching. And for those who haven't seen his interview, it's on our channel. Feel free to check it out. We also had students make their first ever one shot. So this student of ours, Raven, she's never made a one shot before. And in just 5 months, she was able to level up her paneling, poses, and more. So it's her very first one shot, and it's motivated her to make more. And lastly, here's another one from Courtney, who has made amazing improvements with her storyboards, her inking, and so much more. Yeah, this is an ongoing project, and we can't wait to see how she's gonna grow even further. Now, so now that you've seen what some of our students have made, this is our challenge. We're here to take you to the next level and help you create that manga you feel proud of. So to figure out more, we'll ask you to stay until the very end for the Q&A. Yeah. So, are you guys ready? Are you all ready? We're going to get into the live critiques now. But we want to know if you're all ready. And also, just a heads up for those watching us on YouTube, we're going to be prioritizing the submissions from the peeps here in the Zoom. So, you can find the Zoom link, I believe, in the description of this live. Yeah. So, yeah. All right. Okay, looks like everyone's ready. To quote
Yes.
SpongeBob, I'm ready. Hi, Mizuki. One of our
Hi,
students are
Mizuki.
here. That's awesome. Yeah, welcome, welcome. All right. Okay. So without further ado, let us just we want to reintroduce ourselves. I'm Coach Karen. I'm one of the student success coaches at LTDM. I'm a book cover illustrator and character designer who has worked with indie authors for web novels, MG and YA fantasy projects. Nice to meet you all. And of course, joining me today is Coach Fi, also from the LTDM Student Success Team. She has professional experience working as an illustrator for indie games, an animator for multiple studios, and storyboard artist for Netflix shows like Rescue Bots Academy and Hayopka. Yeah, so without further ado, let's get started. I'm gonna go ahead and hand over our live critique share screen to over to
Okay.
our coach Fai here. There we go.
All right. So let me give me a moment, everybody. I'm just going to share my Photoshop. And there we go. Okay. I hope you guys can see my screen. Please let me know if you can. But yeah, before I get started again, hello everybody. I'm glad you're all here, and yeah, some of you guys I've already seen. You might have already heard my voice. You might have seen me doing some of the critique from the last session, and I wanna preface this by reminding you guys that we are only doing a total of 8 submissions for these next sessions. So 4 right now, and then another 4 in about 12 or so hours during our second session. And I know that we sent in some of our shortlist to you guys, but please do not feel bad. This is not necessarily because we only liked a few. In fact, that's the thing with these challenges. It's really hard to pick
It's
because
a
there are
hard
so
decision.
many of you and we only have limited time. But I wanna
Mm.
I want to encourage you guys, keep submitting these because it's practice for you. And there are going to be more sessions like these in the future, so don't fret. This is not your only chance. Regardless, I encourage you guys to just keep drawing. Even if you don't get picked, consider it as practice for yourself, especially if you really are serious about making manga. Yeah. All right. So, for now, I'm just going to call upon the people really quickly so you can like prepare yourselves because I will be asking you to unmute and talk a little bit about your yonkoma as we are going through. So, for today, for now, we have Cherise. I can see you. I believe you're here in the Zoom, Cherise. We have Sahib. I think Sahib is also here. Kenda, I am hoping you are here, Kenda. I am not sure. If you are here, Kenda, please let me know in the chat. And Edward, I don't quite remember your last name, but your last name starts with a K, or K or Edward B, I think. Yes. So I hope that you guys are here. Just giving you a quick heads up. In case that there are those of you who are not here, I'm going to move on to the others because, as Coach Karen said just now, we're prioritizing people who are
Mm,
inside the Zoom who already submitted their Yonkoma through our link that we provided over the
mm,
holiday period. So, okay, for now, I will start with Miss Mix. I'm sorry, I don't know your pronouns. Charisse, if you may, please go ahead and, or is that our job? Is that our job to unmute you? I want to
yeah.
ask you, could you tell us a little bit more about your Yonkoma? What inspired you, and what was it like while you were making this?
Hi, can you hear me?
Hi,
Yep.
yes, we
Loud
can
and
hear
clear.
you. Hello and welcome.
Yeah. So, what inspired me to make this yonkama was we just gave my cats their Christmas presents, and they went ballistic with the toy mice, and they were practically just playing with them and beating them up all day. So I thought that would be a pretty funny yonkama to do. Other than that, that was it. They mostly just beat each other up afterwards. So,
Oh, that is so relatable. Coach Karen and I are like crazy
Oh
cat
yeah.
ladies, so
Yeah, I
we're
think
totally on board with that.
half of the coaches, no, not half, like 90% of the the artists
The
working
team.
in LTDM are like crazy cat people,
elbow
so you're not
drums.
alone.
That's I like that you picked a very quaint and a very simple, endearing kind of thing. So, I do want to ask, just out of curiosity, do you have like any particular like style inspirations, especially like when it comes to like animals or something?
Definitely Looney Tunes, Tom and
Mm.
Jerry, and One Piece, just by how expressive and goofy they are.
I see. I see. Okay. Thank you so much for sharing that, Charisse. We might, while we're doing this critique, I might be like asking you back and forth so that we can have,
Okay.
a full conversation. But thank you so much for sharing about that. And I do have to say, I can see the Looney Tunes. I can definitely see the Looney Tunes. Yeah. Okay, so once again, welcome to the session and to the program, by the way. All right,
Yay.
so to start off, I am going to tell you all the stuff that, yeah, I'm just gonna go in. I have some notes here. So, one of the things that I really like about this is that it's very cute, it's very simple, and when you're doing Yonkoma, guys, the simpler it is, the better, because of course you only have 4 panels, but simple doesn't mean bad, and we're gonna get to that during the whole session. Everything is really expressive, the poses are very expressive, especially, oops, sorry, my the thing got blocked. Especially, like, you have a really lovely line of action here for this cat and also this one. It's super hilarious. Just leafing through my notes. You have yeah. So this is a really good action line. Even just your static pose, especially for this cat. Do tell me the names of your cats, by the way, so I can refer to them properly.
So the tall, skinny one is Dasher, and the cute, pudgy one is Little Pouncer.
Oh, that's adorable. I like how the one doing the, I don't know what you call this move. This wrestling move is Pouncer. And
Little
he's
elbow
got
drop.
one
Yeah, she
eye.
pounds a lot.
Smackdown.
You
Yeah, let me
Adorable.
just a quick tangent, like Sharice, you definitely have like the full package, like the long and the chonk. You know, like I
Yeah.
think every household that has like cats, you know, they often have like one of those two types of cats. Yeah.
Yeah, I nicknamed him Long Boy because he's just so long.
The long boy and the chunky boy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Definitely a staple. Okay. So
totally.
yeah, I really, really the reason I asked about your style is because it's like it's definitely like a mix of Western like comic style, especially in the way that you render the fur. And it's really
Hmm.
cool. I just wanted to say.
Oh,
You
thanks.
have a really good use of like manpu and action lines and blurring and what we call this thing, this like when you guys see in manga when something is fully blackened, whether it's the background or something like the silhouette of a character, that is what we call a beta. So it's not really the same meaning as like English beta or beta. I pronounce it differently. But yeah, you have a really good use of this. And what do we mean by manpu for those of you who don't know? They're kind of like the symbols and like expressions that are kind of they're unique to manga and anime. They are the things like the sparkles in the eyes when they're being mischievous. When you see somebody angry, they have this like vein that looks like this, or the sweat drop, things like that. Those are what we call manpu. So in case you don't know, in case you didn't know, now you know. You've been seeing it everywhere. Even just this little like emoticon here. So on to the things that we can do to improve this one. All right. So, for panel one, I think that we could stand to put some better spacing. I think it would be good if you don't make the mice overlap the cats too much so that the silhouettes of these two mice are clearer. So, either that or you need to find a way to distinguish between the forms of the cats and the mice. So, for example, and again, the things that I'm going to be telling you guys are mostly for the most part, they are suggestions, but of course, feedback in good faith. So for again, as an example, maybe these could be like thickened or something, or maybe you could make some subtle shading under like the overlap, like just to put some dimension. So what do I mean by we need to make the silhouettes a little bit clearer? So I didn't mention it a while ago, but you also have a really good use of the background. Like it really feels like, oh, this is a cat's home. This is like the underside of a table or a chair or something. That is where the cats are. So what I would do, I'm gonna overlay just slightly so I can show you what I mean. What I would do is maybe I would put these two little mice a little bit closer together. And again, I'm only going to do this roughly. Maybe somewhere here. And then I would try to not make their ears like touch the silhouettes of the cats. So do you guys see what I mean? I might put Pouncer a little bit more to hang on. I might put Pouncer a little bit more to the right just for some space. So again, I'm just gonna edit this very roughly. Just a little bit and maybe like just like that. So, can you see how? Oops, my bad. If we were to trace these silhouettes, it's a lot clearer now. So, I'm just gonna go over very quickly the shape of these beautiful kitties. It's a lot clearer now. And the shading or the reason why I suggested the outline is because we want to make sure that your eyes are going here to the mice. So maybe, yeah, you could probably guide your viewers' eyes from the cats to the mice, but at the end of the day, we are looking at the mice. So we want to make these guys, kind of the star of the show, especially because they're over here in panel 3. Excuse me, sorry. So, let me hang on. Just going over my notes here. But yeah, cuz right now as it is, I'm going to go back really quickly to your original one. This layout looks quite good, but if you notice, it's a little bit, we're kind of directed towards the cats immediately, which is, it's all right, but you also have to kind of guide them to what exactly are they looking at? Like, what is this, right? Like, viewers have to register what is happening in your panels the first few milliseconds that they look at it. And because the cats are here like towards the center of the composition, we're going to only focus on them. So we want to bring these mice a little bit, we want to break them off from the shape of the cat, and maybe I might put them a little bit more upward, and then really guide the eyes down here. You could probably even use some manpu, like, just dotted lines. Simple, simple as that. So going on to the next couple of panels, I think personally that you could probably use more emphasis on the idea that the inanimate toys are kind of meant to be sentient. So I read your description here, and so um, I read your description here about the idea you had for like the twist. So I would love for you to tell, our audience what your ideas for these mice were, aside from the fact that you wanted to show your cats like playing with them. So you had an interesting thing here in your description that I wanted everyone else to hear as well. So could you let us know?
I guess that I thought it'd be funny to show that not only they are, just inanimate objects, but sometimes I feel like maybe cat and dog toys might feel fear
Fear.
because they probably know they're about to be played with in a rough or horrific manner and probably chewed up and slaughtered the next day.
I like somebody here said, "Dang, Toy Story is getting dark."
Oh yeah. Oh no.
Exactly. So I really like that simple twist. Like, do they feel fear because they're about to be made into like absolute they're about to be made into absolute messes by these kitties. So yeah, thank you for sharing that with the rest of our audience. So given that you wanted to kind of put some sentience into them, I think that we could hang on, just checking my notes. Yeah, we could use some more emphasis on the idea that the inanimate toys are meant to be sentient. So, we can do that by maybe adding more manpu in panel 3 to emphasize the emotion and the sentience. And maybe we can, especially in the last part, we can make the mice's expression a little bit bigger and clearer. So, for here we're kind of leading up to the twist, right? So those of you who have been regulars on our channel, you might have seen our lives and videos where we talk about Kisho Tenketsu. What is Kisho Tenketsu? So that is essentially the four act story structure that manga follows. It's different from what you guys might know as the three act structure that you might have been taught when you were younger, which follows like rising action, or sorry, exposition, and then rising action, and then climax. Was it three? Someone remind me, was it three or
Yeah, like
five?
I mean, yeah, I mean that's kind of like the expanded the Western three act. So the difference is Western focuses on like the conflict as the driving force of the story, overcoming an obstacle, overcoming conflict. When you're doing Kishoten Ketsu, it's not necessarily the case. The okay, I'm trying to like shortcut this as much as possible without going into detail. But it's more of in Kisho Tenketsu, it's about a change that happens in the beginning and end. So for Sharice's Yonkoma, for example, we picked this because we thought that this is a very good execution of Kisho Tenketsu. The twist being that these toys, they're not just toys. They have some kind of
Cat
sentience,
feelings.
yeah, it's a pretty a very straightforward and clever twist. It didn't have to be like pow pow, but we get it, like it's funny, okay? It makes sense. It's very like clearly explained visually without too much what do you call this? Exposition in a way. I think that's what's good about this here.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So to just like explain a little bit more about my point, I think the composition of this one, the second panel, is actually really good. What I would put is more of an addition rather than editing anything. So I'm kind of using some different manpu here, which is I don't quite know what they're called. So if anyone knows what they're called, do correct me. But I have always since childhood called them the emo lines, because you know those lines that you see with characters when they're annoyed or when they're like depressed or something. Like there are so many uses for it, but I'm sure that you guys might know what I'm talking about, because depending on the context, it could convey so many things. So that's what I'm putting here at the back, especially because it's leading up to our third panel, which has the beta, the blackened, the total blackened background where it's showing like, oh God, we are about to get absolutely wrecked, aren't we? I would also probably add like just like a little ellipses. Although there is very minimal dialogue here, which I like. I don't know if you would even count this as dialogue in itself or if it counts as manpu. But, this somewhat leads up to the idea that, oh, they're kind of sentient and they're about to have the time of their lives in a bad way. Yeah. So this one is really good, really well put, and it's just something I would add. Now for the manpu here and the things that I recommend to change a little bit here would be I would want you to make the lines of the sweat drops a lot clearer and to just emphasize that emotion, that impending doom. So what's going on here is called a tangent. So what exactly is a tangent? The way I describe it is it's like when more than one shape interacts with another shape in a way that kind of breaks up the it's in a way that kind of breaks up the lines, or like it makes the silhouettes a little bit strange. To show you what I mean, this is I can tell that this is supposed to be a sweat drop, right? But it is coinciding with the line of the head. If I drew, for example, if I drew a circle here, and if I drew a square, right, separately, so they're not making any tangents. But if I move this circle and then I make it touch the square just on its border, it makes things kind of awkward because it's like, oh, is it one shape, is it two shapes? It the balance and the composition is kind of off. That is what we call the tangent. So here, small but significant, simplest thing I would do, I would make the sweat drop bigger, and I would make it not, the outline should not touch, should not like directly overlap, like in a way that they look like they're touching in this way. Overlapping like this, like here and here, that's fine. So I'll explain a bit more about tangents in like the next yonkoma that you will see us critique. Hang on, I had a couple more notes here, and then some other things you could probably add here. I think again, more emo lines. You don't want to overdo it, but just some emphasis. Here is where things are, this is a really cool like ending. It gets spicy, and I really really love the poses. I would absolutely not change anything about the poses because you did these really well, Cherise. Where I think we could improve here is The mice are looking a little bit obscure. So we know from the context that, okay, the cats are about to pounce on them. But the forms are looking a little bit incoherent here. Especially, I know that they're crying, but it took me a little while to kind of figure it out. So I think I would probably either enlarge their heads a little bit and then make their expressions really as simple as you can make it so that they register well to the eyes. So just as simple as these, like the crying face and then the nose, maybe here as well. You don't want to have too many overlapping lines so that your audience can see exactly what kind of faces they are making, especially because they're kind of small. So I'm gonna rotate my canvas here. You don't want to have too many like wrinkles in the face. Something as simple as that. Or another approach you could take is maybe their faces aren't super seen. Maybe they're already like face down on the ground. Something you could add here would be those little bubbles with the emotes. So there's actually one here. This is something I would also say would be good to emphasize. So what was the name of this cat again? I'm sorry. This one's Pouncy or Pouncer, and this one is
Dasher.
Dasher.
Stay on the corner.
Wonderful, wonderful long boy.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's this one coming out from Dasher, and he's like, "Ooh, I got food or toys." I could you could probably put the same thing here for both of the mice. It doesn't even have to just be one. You could point the bubble to both of them. And then I would put this if their faces weren't seen. So if, for example, you chose to go with something like they're face down or their faces are just obscure because the cats are tossing them around, then you could put something like this. Like, oh no, woe is me, woe is me. And let me just quickly look back at my notes again. And yeah, that's pretty much what I have to say. What about you, Coach Karen? Do you think you have any other points of feedback for Shrees?
Oh, I that's about it really. I think my only additional would be like for your panel 3, I feel like it's more visually heavy towards the left. I mean,
Mm.
in some cases, because I know that in some cases in manga, you do see this where it kind of like sets the pace, like what do you call it?
Oh,
It's
I,
kind of
I
like
I think I
when
know
the
what you
camera
mean.
is panning, yeah. Yeah,
Like
so I don't know. I
like
don't know if
sometimes it's like this,
yeah,
and then it's
yeah.
like, oh my gosh, there's an emote
The,
here.
yeah, exactly. So I don't know if that was your intent. Because otherwise, what I take from your panel 3 is it's either you meant this to be to have these mice at the center, and I kind of have this problem myself when I'm doing traditional, when by the time I finish drawing, I didn't realize that my subject is like skewed heavily to like towards the left. I don't know if that was your intent or if you meant to do the other one where they're meant to be towards the left, so there's like a bit of like pause before before the eye catches up to like the toy mice's reaction. So either you do it that way at the center or do it towards the left where there's like space towards the right to set that pace. I think both of those would work. It just really depends on what you as the creator, as the maker of this yonkoma intend to like show here. Yeah, personally I'm a fan of the pause before the left. Yeah.
So again,
So
those are just a couple of approaches that you could take to this. So yeah, do you have any questions, Charisse, or maybe something you'd like to add on to, so we could talk a little bit more about your yonkoma?
One of those mice actually got torn apart, and I don't know what happened to it. But Other than that, like, yeah, I plan to put all this critique into play. And as for the mice being off censored, yeah, that I wasn't thinking about it, but it probably would have helped if I added like just those dots, like as a oh crap type feeling.
Definitely, definitely. And yeah, and don't worry about that. It's honestly very, very typical of any artist to be like,
Yeah.
oh, shoot, I didn't realize it's like off center, off balance, it's a little to the right or anything. It's very normal. Very, it's a normal mistake to make. Everybody does it. So yeah. Do you think you learned anything particularly useful from this, or anything that you'd like to, insights or any add-ons that you'd like to share?
I definitely learned the use of space because
Sorry.
I didn't like of course like since I'm still a beginner I didn't like use the spacing very well in the first panel to show that the mice are the center of attention,
Mhm.
and same thing with the Monpoo being pretty used but could add a little stuff here and there, and the sweat drop should be a little bit bigger since it like coincides with their little olive like oval shaped head.
Mhm. Okay. I'm glad that you managed to have some sort of insight from this one. So once again, Charisse, thank you so much for submitting this. I This was a delight. I have to say, you know what's funny? Last Yonkoma critique, we got a lot of comics about work. This time we got a lot of comics about cats and dogs.
Yeah, yeah, true, true. I mean, I think it's because it's the holidays and we
Yeah,
we get to spend more time with our little fur babies. So it was a treat for us, honestly. Yeah. We're like living
absolutely.
vicariously through your Yonkoma submissions about your pet.
So
Yeah.
again, thank you so much, Charisse. And
Uh,
yeah, I'm glad that
before
you got
we
something. Okay,
before
go
we
ahead.
move on to the next one, Coach Fi, I guess maybe just a very very quick segue into like kind of like a tip for everybody who's working on Yonkoma. We highly recommend that you try to do thumbnails first. And so for those who don't know, thumbnailing is where you kind of make thumb size. That's why it's called thumbnailing. You make these thumb sized sketches, so small sketches where you roughly lay out how your final comic is gonna look like, because that's gonna help you resolve any potential issues you might have with your spacing, with your angles, your camera angles, your emotions. So it gives you like a cheat a cheat sheet. You like a visual representation of what you want the layout to look like in your final piece. Yeah, and so yeah, that's something that we highly encourage you guys to start practicing, because I mean, I'm guilty of this. I tend to like go ham at it right from the get-go, like final sketch, final rough sketch, final inking, all that stuff. So yeah, we really really recommend you guys doing the thumbnailing. Yeah, there we go. Segue, and back to you, Coach Fi.
Yeah, I was basically doing a tiny little demonstration of what thumbnailing is like. Just like this. You can actually do we actually have a video about that on the channel, Coach Karen?
Soon, soon, soon.
Oh, so it's
Yeah,
a thing for the
sometime in the future.
future.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So actually, you know what? This is one of the things that we teach in the program. Um, for those of you who are thinking of enrolling or who have enrolled already, this is something that we tackle. But yeah, it's a little tidbit that we wanted to share with you guys. So yeah. Anyway, all right. So let us move on to the next one. I would like to call on Sahib. Are you still here? I know you were here a while ago. I just want to make sure that you are still here. Sahib, are you alive? I can see you're here in the Zoom. Could you before I start, are you around? Could you send us a message here in the chat? And Coach Karen, could we maybe unmute him as well?
Yep, on it. Okay, hang on, Sahib. We're gonna give you the floor. There
I'm
we
so
go.
sorry.
Hello,
There we
There
go.
hello.
we go. Hi, Sahib.
Yellow.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello
I'm doing
again.
good.
Hello.
I'm glad to hear that. I'm really glad to hear that. So, okay, I would like for you to share with us what's your yonkoma about, anything that inspired it, what you felt while you were making it, any particular struggles or anything?
So the funny thing is, I was at the coffee shop where I usually do my studying and practices for my art since I'm trying to prepare to get into the course.
Mm-hmm.
I was checking my email and then I saw that the Yokama challenge appeared, and it was the last day before the due date. And I looked at the challenge from
Oh my goodness.
Miss Trisha, and she said that, yeah, no pressure, I know you'll get it done. And I was like, yeah, she kind of knows me from now. So I have always been inspired by uh, being inspired in general and learning who I am, and uh, also being able to help people inspired to be the best that they can be, essentially. But the irony is that uh, trying to strive towards being better is tough. So sometimes, like we as humans, we're like habitual creatures. So like if something's overwhelming, we kind of just be like, "Yeah, I'll do it next time." So the story was, it's me or my character trying to find a purpose and having a realization
Mm.
what the character is good at. And I noticed that what I'm good at is when I am learning something new or I have an epiphany on something, I get an overload of information and my body just completely just shuts down and I need to rest. And so
Oh
the
no.
idea was is that when you learn something and it's a lot to take in, instead of like putting it all in one like action, you kind of just rest where you can just recuperate and process it. So I felt like the best thing that I know that I'm really good at is sleeping so that way I process information.
I love that. I love that. I see, I see. Thank you so much for sharing all of that. I love how comprehensive it was hearing about this. So thank you, Sahib. Again, just stay there because we might like back and forth a little bit about this. So um, I think you added on a couple more details that we weren't able to read about while we were looking through your Yonkama. And I think, you know what? A lot of things that you mentioned, I feel like they're a lot more relatable than people, they're a lot more relatable than people say or than people like to admit. Like, we all have moments of, oh my gosh, I gotta do something, but then I'm kind of overwhelmed. Oh, I gotta sleep on it. That's why we have that phrase, sleep on it, right?
Yeah.
It's because it's very
Yes.
real. It's very real. Like sometimes you really just have to sleep on it, right? Okay.
Yeah.
When the
Awesome.
well is overing, the whelm. That's what
When
we
the
say
whelm
when the whelm is,
Essentially, yeah.
the over is
And
whelming.
I
the funny
appreciate
thing
that.
was, like, I did not expect to finish it quickly. Like, I finished it maybe in under 3 hours, and I was really happy. But the main thing I just did is just I just told myself to just have fun with it, and it came out in a way that I didn't expect, especially since it was my first time.
That is actually the best way to go about it. So, before I go on, it's so much nicer to just do something that you'll have fun with because of course we are definitely going to talk about how manga making and art in general takes discipline. It takes genuine commitment, but you wouldn't be doing this if you didn't have fun with it. There is always a way to kind of enjoy what you are doing, and it's nice that you managed to pull that urgency into the topic itself of your yonkoma, right? You're like, okay, okay, I gotta do this. I gotta lock in. I got hours before the deadline. I'm gonna submit this. And you managed to. And the nice thing is you managed to have fun with it and you learned a little something while you were doing that. And that's one of the best feelings in my honest opinion. Oh my gosh, so sorry. Okay, so I'm gonna go on and share some of our points here. So I want to say that I really like the usage of like certain techniques here, like the brushes, especially in the program you use, and you have a really nice use of the space and the background. Like, I wanna take a guess. Are you using Clip Studio Paint?
Yes, I am.
Awesome, awesome. Because I kind of recognize the hexagon, the hexagon. Is it hexagon? I don't even remember. But
Yes.
yeah, the
Yes.
hexagon brush for all of those sparkly, sparkly things. Okay, awesome. So, Clip Studio Paint is very much a bona fide program for not only mangakas but just in general artists. It's a great program. So yeah, I like that you have some familiarity with it, and just like what we mentioned a while ago with Sharice's piece, you have a very good and interesting use of the beta, which is like the blackened part, which highlights, it highlights something. Here it's like highlighting the fact that, oh, he's realizing something. He's coming on to something. So, um, I prepared just and I very briefly in advance prepared a little bit of a template here. Um, One thing I would say, we could improve this paneling if we make it consistent. So we started out and ended with these like long like horizontal kind of panels, and I think that it might be best if we stick to that so that it's not too confusing as a yonkoma. So remember, the simpler the better, and not all like manga projects like a yonkoma, they don't have to take like 15 hours to make. Just like you said, you took like a couple of hours, and that doesn't take away from the value of it. Sometimes it's good to just do something for a couple of hours to be able to like produce something and get somewhere with it. So I would start with the paneling here, and we're gonna go on to how we are gonna edit the content in a little bit. For one thing, some of the like the width and the kerning of the text is a little bit tight here. So this one says like if we're all meant to be great at something. So it would be good if you could like stretch this out a little bit more and space it out. So if I were to edit that just to make it a little bit more. Oh, where did it go? Oh my gosh. Oh my god. Hang on. My bad. So if we're to edit this, we want it to be as readable as possible. So I'm gonna just slightly shrink it because it was looking a little bit um tight and a little bit crowded. And there we go. So we want it to be as legible and easy to read as possible. Okay. And then I would also recommend keeping it consistent with one single font for and like one single like typeface for the thoughts, and maybe you could use another font for the mumble dialogue that you're saying here in this panel. It's kind of up to you because that's something that I see. Like they'll use one font for this and then another one for that one. Another thing you could do is just make this simply like you could play around with the shape of the bubble because he's mumbling, right? Technically, this is you, but I'm going to refer to your character as he. So you could again, 100 ways to cook an egg, as I always say. All right, and then I'm gonna go over these notes. Uh, okay, so the twist I would say that the so when we talk about ki sho tenketsu, it's broken up into ki, the sho, the ten, and the ketsu. So the ten, the third part, is where the twist or the change is that kind of moves things forward. This the twist is actually it comes in the last panel, and we want it to be in the third panel. The twist in itself is that, oh, he fell asleep. It's like he got riled up and then he fell asleep. That is the twist. So in order to not disrupt too much of your comic, but still keep with the Kisho Tenketsu structure, what I would recommend, and this is only my idea, because for all we know, you could brainstorm and maybe come up with something else. Is we can keep this. We can keep this. We can probably keep this panel, but we can kind of combine elements of it with this one where he's like clutching at the sheets. He's like, "Oh, I'm ready. I'm fired up." Right? But then we it's only in the end when we realize he's been dreaming about this, like this panel. So the idea that I had was perhaps, oh, my bad, maybe we can mimic the shot here where he is in bed, but it's a really dramatic close-up shot, like intense, intense, and maybe his eye is maybe his eyes kind of open. It would be a very expressive shot uh of his face where he's like brain blast or something. It's like he's going galaxy brain. Yeah. Those moments in anime where they're like coming to some sort of epiphany, and could be like, yo, I'm getting somewhere here. And then he's clutching the sheets in. So let's just imagine that this is his fist and then that these are the sheets. Maybe we could probably raise this a little bit. So you gotta show like the wrinkles of the bed because like he's that fired up. So he's on his side. We're gonna go with the continuity of that. So at first it's not like 100% like zoomed out, but we can kind of tell that he is lying down and he's not actually like standing up like he is in this second panel. So maybe let me use a different color for this. Maybe his pillow is here, like you can tell he's still kind of cozy in bed. And actually, I just thought of this now, but another thing you could do is you could even possibly overlap some elements like so these are like your internal thoughts, right? So maybe it could be like this. You could add those thought bubble things here, something like that. So this one we're gonna do away with this, but we're keeping the element of like clutching the sheets in super like emotion or something, because it's like, it's gonna be a little bit of a tight shot, but we are going to show that he is both fired up but also still lying in bed. Yeah. For this shot, we could actually keep this. We could keep this. We're just gonna cut it off a little bit here, but we are going to add the text here and make it a little bit bigger. So we could put your text here and then make your font more dramatic because you're like monologuing to yourself, right? You're hyping yourself up. So maybe these thought bubble things could kind of be like this. You could put the text here, the internal dialogue, and then we could play around with this. The actual thought bubble. You could also probably connect it like this. That way, when we go to the ending, which is, oh, he's still asleep. Okay, then. It's like that moment where you wake up really briefly from your dream in adrenaline. It's like, okay, never mind, bye.
Yes.
Yeah. So we can keep this. We can still keep this, but we're going to change this so that it kind of ties in everything. And then,
Hmm.
lastly, for this panel in general, again, I like that you use the background to really show it like it emphasizes you know the lazy feeling, the sleepiness. It's like, okay, okay, we got it. He's gonna snooze for a while. I would say it's more of a my critique here is more of just technical. The perspective is a little bit inconsistent here. This one is not quite matching up to the bed, and it's also not quite matching up to the table as well. So you might want to try to reassess your perspective lines, especially because it is not, yeah, this one is not super consistent. But I'd say, it's already a good use of space because you're showing like the bedroom and everything. Yeah, I think another way we could improve it is simply to just emphasize a couple things you already have. So like the Z's, the manpu, maybe you could have them overlap overlap the bubbles a little bit, or that little snoring bubble. I don't know. I don't quite know how to like depict it properly, but like the snoring bubble that comes from either the nose or something. But yeah. Oh, another thing that I would like to ask. What do you mean exactly by everything? Like this last dialogue here.
So when I meant that it meant everything, how he was describing it is that it was like an epiphany to like his whole life and
Mm-hmm.
how finding purpose in life means everything. So when he found out that quote unquote everything, like he felt like it was kind of a universal thing, meaning that his rest can help him like get to the point where he can gain clarity on something when he wakes up.
It's
And
the
in that
epiphany.
clarity, he can exactly in that clarity he can use it for anything. He can expand on it, not just on one single thing.
Hmm. Okay, okay. Thank you so much for explaining that to me. I think we can improve on that one as well. I think the
Okay.
that thought, it would be better if you put it here. So you could make your dialogue something like, all this time in my existence, it's been right in front of me. I'm realizing everything. You could put all of that in panel 2. Um
Mm.
and then here, because we're playing on the humor of it, because it's like, oh, he's got to sleep on it, he's being a little bit lazy right now. Maybe you could change the dialogue here to be something like 5 more minutes, something like that. So like the we can still use your monologue, we're just gonna kind of transfer that all the way over here. But then
Mm.
here we're gonna zone in on the whole he's sleepy thing. Yeah. And let me double check my other notes. But I think yeah, that's actually the general feedback I had. Panel 1 is already really good, and I saw a lot of people complimenting you a lot on how you did the hands here, which is really good. Good job, by the way. Here and also in panel 2. Yeah. What do you think, Coach Karen? Anything that you might add?
Yo, okay. So, hmm. I think like because this is like the format suggestion from Coach Fi. I kind of want to like just say a little segue from your previous formatting. Is it okay, Coach Fi? We could like get back to like the OG,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
the
sure.
OG.
That's why I have
Yeah,
it
yeah.
here.
Yeah, okay. So this is the OG, right? So this is like something that we've learned from our sensei. How timely, because we had like a session with Yazawa sensei last night, and she mentioned this. Um when you're doing like the spaces in the gutters. So when we say gutters, there isn't really an official term for it in, like, in Japan. But when we say gutters, it's like the space in between the panels that kind of tells us the passage of time. It's not something that we see in yonkoma, because yonkoma typically, although not exclusively, it typically follows like a very standard top to bottom, two by two, right to left kind of format. But if you wanna like do it this way, Sahib, like this is more of a one-page manga kind of situation. Um, when you are using like narrow spaces in between your panels, that means this sequence is happening quickly. It's kind of like when you're watching a movie and then the frame switches quickly from like in 2 seconds it moves on to the next frame. So when you have a wide gap, like in your second row, there's a wide gap in between your right and left panel. Like what this tells me as a person reading this is there's a bit of a pause, or this is a new sequence, a new scene. It's kind of like we either changed scenes, or there was like some passage of time in between what happened in your right and your left one. So what I'm saying here is be mindful of the way that you space your panels using your gutters, because that kind of sets the pacing of what's happening in this page. So going back to Coach Fice, yeah. So I hope that makes sense. Yeah, because it feels like like when I initially saw your original page, I was thinking, did time pass, like did time pass in between you looking at the screen, having that internal monologue, all this time in my existence it's been right in front of me, and then there's a long pause, there's a long pause in between that and the next panel where you say, I will finally take what I have. So that's kind of like the effect that it has on me as someone reading this this yonkoma, assuming that it's my first time reading this. Yeah. Okay. So just something to consider. Yeah. All right. So like what Coach Fai summarized here, the gutters or the spacing translate to the passage of time or a change in scenes. Um, I would suggest, guys, you try to look at the manga that you read, and observe the spaces, and then you'll find that mangaka tend to do this when they're changing a scene or expressing the passage of time. It's not just for aesthetic that there's like a wide a wide gap. It serves a purpose. It's like when it's the equivalent of of a comma and a period when you're writing sentences. So that's kind of also the vibe that it gives off. So just something to consider, Sahib, because the here, I think your intent was to show this as just one sequence, but because of the gaps, it also kind of you know doesn't make the reading go in just whoop, just what's the term, like continuously. It makes me pause. Yeah, there we go. Yes.
Ah, yeah.
Yes, go ahead.
So the thing is, I actually had tried to practice the intention of spacing to showtime.
Mm,
Mm,
Um,
mhm.
okay.
but the first I forgot it's I forgot the term of the row. The first row, um, when I submitted it, I realized it was really close to the second row, and that I was showing that it was going really fast. But with the second row, I was trying to create the intention of like the pause, but I never really knew more in detail of like how you guys describe it. Now it makes a lot more sense because in my eyes, I was trying to kind of give like a pause for the audience of him just still grasping the information, and then he figures it out. Then it goes to the next panel, and then it transitions to the third column. So like it makes a lot of sense of what you're saying for me, and that can definitely improve me understanding gutter knowledge.
Mm.
I see.
Thank you for that.
Okay, I'm glad that you actually were able to do your own like research here, and I appreciate that intention. I think I think where it might get lost in translation is that this was meant to be like a whole or like a continuation of a thought. So I think that passage or that space kind of makes it a little bit disjointed as
Hmm.
yeah. So but I think now that you have a little bit more context as to how to use that kind of thing, you can definitely implement it in like, maybe even a longer version of this kind of comic or in future, your future works in general. What do you think, Coach
Okay.
Karen and Sahib? What do you guys think?
Yeah, I think
Well,
I
first
agree.
off, yeah, I'm actually extremely uh, grateful for this because I've been really looking forward to finally taking the steps forward to get here, and it's just I'm honestly just smiling ear to ear because I'm giddy about how much I'm learning right now, and it means a lot to me because I've always been so uh, adamant on trying to get the first step, and I finally took it without putting so much pressure on myself. And I really hope that whoever chooses to go forward with this as well is like realizing it doesn't matter how you start. It's just you start where you are and appreciate the gratitude of like who you're learning from because I'm glad that this is what got me here to this point.
Aw, that's so sweet. Thank you so much, Sahib. It looks like it really sounds like you've managed to get a lot of like insights. Are there any specific ones that you wanna like you think are your the ones that really stick to you right now, the insights about this before we move on to the next one?
So a lot of minor shifts when it comes to communication in the panels are a big key that I'm taking. It's not just the visual, but it's also the way that how you need to place your characters, I guess, monologue, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
But it's how the relationship between the two make a cohesion to give an audience a better reading experience. And I know that's something that um, you guys were really religiously telling and expressing to us that are trying to learn how to be efficient at creating pages in the panel. So that's what really stuck out to me. The second thing is that what I was enjoying with Sharice's Yokama was that
Mm-hmm.
she had less and it was much more effective. And I am like I'm a very detailed kind of person. I really enjoy having like work with detail. So I'm learning to do less, but also give good quality. Uh, so that means it's not just about the art. It's about the presentation and how the communication with the speech in the panels and the illustration shows. So like it's a big epiphany for me, and I'm excited to like learn more each time I do a young come up, so
Mm.
that way I can improve on my work.
Okay. That's very insightful and cohesive of you. So I
Thank
really I
you.
really appreciate that. And one of the things I always like for me as a coach, one of the things that motivates me most is knowing that, the people here, whether you're enrolled or whether you're, participating in our like workshops and stuff. One of the things that motivates me most is just knowing that people are enjoying while they're learning. So I'm really glad to hear that this is, you're gaining something positive from this.
Yeah, most definitely.
Yeah.
I
So
appreciate it.
of
Thank you.
course. And thank you as well. So once again, thank you for submitting this. If ever you manage to like if you ever feel like doing these edits, we would love to see, your updated version. So we will keep in touch about that, of course, between you and, our team.
All right,
All
I'll keep that in
right.
mind. Thank you.
Definitely. You are very, very welcome, Sahib. All right. So, so that we can maximize our time, is Kenda here with us right now? Because I'm not sure if I can see your name or if you're under like a different like nickname in Zoom. Kenda, let me bring up the records. Kenda from the UK. Kenda said that they might be coming here during this session. Kenda going once. No worries, Cherise. Don't worry about that. Kenda, are you here going twice? All right. If Kenda, you are not yet here, we will probably save you for later. I do have some backups just in case the others aren't here. Okay. Is Edward here? Edward, oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. Your last name is Edward from the US? Edward, I'm so sorry. I don't think I
I
have your last
think.
name here.
Let me see.
I'm going to flash. Okay, I am going to
Uh,
flash the Yonkoma on the screen. If this is your Yonkoma and if you are here in the Zoom, please let us know.
yeah.
So sorry.
Bless you, Coach Fi. Yeah, it's like in the morning for us, so I think I'm let me check. I think Edward might have been using like a don't be shy. Hang on, let me check the chats.
Yeah, just double checking. We do have some people lined up here in case you are not able, if in case these people aren't here right now. But
Yeah.
just double checking.
Okay. I think if Edward isn't here. Okay, if you're in YouTube, if you're watching it, let me check YouTube. Okay. In our live chat. Okay. So we're not getting any confirmation. So maybe Edward might attend
Okay,
the second one. So
right.
we'll put Edward's
All right.
submission for later because
Okay,
we want to
so
prioritize the ones who are here, of course, because you
okay,
guys need
so
time.
I know that we did do a back and forth email with some of you, and I think that some of you might be seeing your names here. We will go with the original schedule that we planned, but I will bump up some people just in case. So, all right, right now I would like to call upon. Let me just go quickly. I would like to call upon Mia Wilkinson. I believe you are here. Mia Wilkinson, let us take a look at your Yonkama. Okay. Just getting some of my notes for you. Okay. Hello, Miss Mia. Hi. Okay, so let me unmute you really quickly. I will ask you to unmute and hi Mia, nice to meet you and welcome. If you please go ahead and tell us about your yonkoma here, your process, your thought, what the story, what inspired the story. Just give us a little bit of a background about this.
Hi, are you able to hear me?
Yep, I can hear you.
Okay, awesome. So, what I thought about this is I wanted it to be more of a Christmas trip where this boy he doesn't know who his grandparents are, and then
Mm-hmm.
on Christmas they have to go to this trip to his grandparents. So he's just like annoyed and irritated, and they get lost just to find out that his grandparents are actually Santa Claus.
Mm-hmm. Okay, okay. So is this something uh I'm so sorry. Not feeling too well, but is this something that you is this like an OC of yours? Because I'm getting this feeling that this is like an OC.
I kind of just made up all the characters and then
On the
just
spot
threw
for
them
the
in.
challenge.
Yes.
I see. I see. All right. Okay. So, I like the premise. It's very short and sweet. So, thank you so much for telling us about that. Okay, so I wanna to start off, I would like to say that you have a very sweet, interesting premise, and I really like the use of the backgrounds, especially in panels. Oops, my bad. In panels 2 to 3 here. So, we're following. I can see that you followed, not necessarily the uniform panels.
Mm.
You made like the first two bit smaller and then these last two a little bit bigger. So I like the use of the background definitely. Okay. So it's a very quaint little yonkoma. So some of the notes that we made here are So for improvement, um, I think that the pacing itself is a little bit abrupt. So the jump from panel 2 to 3, and in terms of the storytelling, is a little bit sudden, um especially because it's like we're leading up to the idea that this boy is actually like the grandson of Santa Claus, and then suddenly there's like uh suddenly an elf or something. So I think that the progression in itself, like the plot, is really good, but I think we could probably improve the pacing a little bit more, because it's like, oh, suddenly they're there at Santa's workshop, when um so I think here maybe I'm actually having a hard time trying to think of a suggestion for how to show the passage of time going to this panel. Coach Karen, if you don't mind, do you have any ideas for this
Mhm.
one from panel 2 to 3?
From panel 2 to 3. Okay, so for Mia, is this like something that happens within the same, like how long does it okay. How long until the family arrives at grandma's place? Like between what happens here and then in panel between panel 2 and 3, like how long was this supposed to like happen? Yeah.
I didn't actually take that into consideration of how long it should
Mm-hmm.
be,
Mm-hmm.
thinking about it now. I just didn't think of that.
Mm-mm. That's okay. That's okay. I mean, we have those moments. Yeah. Okay. So here are my suggestions. So if this was meant, like, typically if this was meant to happen, if 2 and 3 was meant to happen like in a span of maybe just maybe they were just arriving around the curb, maybe it wasn't like too long until they arrived. I would typically include another panel showing a transition between 2 and 3. But since this is a yonkoma, like we are confined by the limited amount of panels, then what I would recommend is okay, this isn't something that's typically done. I've seen some manga, in some manga they do this, like where you have like a box narrating the passage of time. But if you want to express that visually as opposed to like literally saying it in the text, like there's a narrative text, what you could do is, because this is not like the four cell format in traditional yonkoma, so there could be like a wider space in between your top and what do you call this, top and second first row and second row of panels, because you know if you don't want if you want to avoid using like text to express the passage of time, and let's say, okay, maybe it took them a while to get there, then putting a wider space could imply the change of scene. It's like a scene change, okay, it's there, we're here, we've arrived, I have arrived, family has arrived. So that's something that you could use to your advantage. Now, the reason why I'm a bit kind of so and so with offering this advice is because your original submission follows a more, I think it's more of a one page. I mean, Yonkoma is still manga, but it's more of like it's a manga that tells a story in just like one page, as opposed to like traditional Yonkoma. Because traditional Yonkoma, I don't think they're as strict with, like, I think Mentor Jackson is here because you could correct me if I'm wrong on this, but at least from my my studies as an artist, I we don't really see strict rules about like the, what do you call this, the gutter space for traditional yonkoma, because it follows a pretty standard um four panels, four cells, and all of those cells, those frames, those panels, they're all the same size. So it doesn't really follow that rule. But here in your page, it's more closer to your usual manga than as opposed to traditional yonkoma. So maybe this is the part where you can use the gutter space to your advantage. Yeah. I that was a very long yeah, but yeah, that's my 2 cents. So takeaways: use your use spacing to express the change in scenes, or you could use a narrative, a box with narration. So you can pick your poison. I have my personal preferences. I prefer not to use them, but there's nothing wrong with you using narrative boxes. Yeah. Okay. There we
Yeah.
go.
It's gonna be very similar actually to what we explained to Sahib just a while ago. You know, the gutters can translate to that passage of time. Okay. So aside from that, when it comes to the text, so I think you're conveying your story very well here, but I think one thing that could help is if we lessen some of the dialogue and really whittle it down to the essentials. So again, since we're working with just 4 panels, the less text the better, even if you have to put some dialogue in general. So we have the parents who are kind of arguing over where they're supposed to go. I think here you could you could definitely keep these two bubbles. That's okay. um this one as well. And then there's here where one of the parents is like, oh hey, aren't you excited to meet them? you know, oops, so sorry, dropped something. I think you could kind of shorten these. You could probably reword them something like, um, aren't you excited to meet them? And then maybe he can think something like, I don't even remember them. We could stop straight at that. Like, you could. We already get the idea that he's annoyed. So maybe you could delete this part. um, aren't you excited to meet your grandparents? And then since he's ranting about, oh my gosh, this is taking a really long time. In line with what Coach Karen just suggested, you could probably even use this as a way to transition. So you could probably make this like a big. I'm gonna delete this, but I'll keep it in the background. You could probably make this a big, like speech bubble. It's like this is taking a long time. And maybe you could use the font and the sizing of the text to your advantage to express that passage of time. So you could say, This is taking a long time." Like you prolong the long, make it like a bigger than the rest, the size of the text, maybe. Yeah. And then, so for panel number 3, I think that the elf here is quite unseen. You want to make him more obvious. So, similar to what we recommended for Charisse a while ago, the elf is all the way over here at the side. And we have, when it comes to things like composition, you typically want to direct the things that you want the audience to look at towards the middle, or toward, or maybe you could use the rule of thirds. What is the rule of thirds? So this is a basic composition that is also used in animation, illustration, and also in photography. So I'm drawing a grid here. The rule of thirds is you divide your image into like a 3 by 3 grid. So we have 9 squares, and we are going to concentrate on the intersections right here.
Mm.
So this is something it's actually used also in a bunch of other visual mediums, like I said, in photography, animation. So you can look this up for more. So these are kind of the focal points of the image. So you don't have to place them exactly here, but kind of along these lines, or within the general vicinity of these points. So that is a recommendation. So I would say place this little elf guy somewhere around here. So as you can see, it's pretty close to one of those intersections. And then, I think when it comes to the dialogue here, oh dear, my Photoshop is once again bugging out on me. Let me fix that. I think this is where I'm a little bit confused about the dialogue of the parents. The parents at first they're arguing about where to go. It's like, wait, this is where we were supposed to turn. Oh my gosh, where are we now? Here, suddenly they said, oh hey, we're fine. I think that maybe you can improve this by saying, oh, so sorry. You could probably improve this by saying, he didn't exactly he didn't exactly verbally say that we're lost. He just kind of thought it, right? So there isn't really a way for the parents to think that he's lost. So maybe you could change it to we're here. Let's go inside. Something as simple as that. So for this one, I am going to just very briefly blur this out, just so that we can focus on the rest of the composition. And then we're gonna have, we can make a place for that dialogue. Maybe somewhere over here. You don't want the dialogue and the text to cover up too much of the image because, of course, we want to focus on the fact that they are actually at Santa's workshop. So this can be the dialogue from the parents, and it can be something very, very simple. My Photoshop is really not agreeing with me today. Hang on. All right. So sorry about that, everyone. Should be okay though. So, uh, here, this piece of text as well. We don't want it to be too close to the edge. And then, even though he's quite excited about it, I think you can stick to the same font, but make it like bold and make it a little bit bigger. This in itself is enough. So, I would also recommend to be consistent with the shading of the hair. So in most of the panels, 1, 2, and 4, your main character has his hair shaded in, and but in panel 3 we don't really see that. So I personally would recommend that you keep consistent with it, even if you're kind of drawing him in a like his like an exaggerated sort of reaction. And then in panel number 4, lastly, the forms of the people are a little bit unclear. So the forms, as in the silhouettes. So as what I recommended, I don't want you to cover up the art with the bubbles. So anything from the thought bubbles to the speech bubbles, you'll want to put them a little bit more slightly to the side or maybe to the corners. So again, this is more of an example. And maybe this one, I'm not sure why this is overlapping, but I would recommend for this to be a little bit more to the side. So yeah, again, this is just a very rough, something very rough. And then we don't want to have the forms of like the parents or anyone to be too crowded because we want to focus on our main character who is finally meeting his grandparents. So I would move her or them a little bit further. Maybe you could this would also give a little bit more wiggle room for you to put more something else. Like maybe you could change the expression to, oh, I'm so happy he's finally meeting his grandparents. So maybe we could make this parent face him. So it's not too crowded, and then we can focus on our main boy here. I also recommend try not to make the heads or the edges of the head touch the border of the panel itself. Yeah. So I'm assuming that this big guy in the background is Santa Claus himself. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, okay. So if that's the case, because that's the cool part. It's like, oh my gosh, it is actually Santa Claus and Mrs. Claus. I think even though he's not necessarily like the main character here, we want to see, I think it would be good to see a bit more of Santa Claus, just the silhouette. So maybe you could make him or your main character just a tad further away so we could see more of more of Santa Claus here. Maybe his belly. We'll see his gold buckle or something. Maybe you could also put his hand on his wife's shoulder just so that it's clearer that this is actually Santa Claus, even if we don't see his face. Yeah. And then yeah, that's actually generally it. This again, this is quite rough. But overall, just improve the composition of this a little bit. Your background, like the background itself is you made good use of it. But let's move this elf. This would be more on the composition of the people here and also of your bubbles, because we don't want the dialogue to take up every part of it. We also want to appreciate the art that you made. Yeah. So anything you think you might have to add, Coach Carrot?
Yeah, I'm all good, honestly. Yeah. Definitely agree with like adding the Santa silhouette because I think that was meant to be your part of the twist of the story, right? Yeah. Maybe just a small addition, a little bit of his white beard, I guess. I mean,
Oh yeah.
hang on. I mean, it depends because I know some Santa caricatures have like shorter beards, some have longer beards. So it's up to you, really. But yeah, yeah, well done. Well
Yeah,
done. This
really
was a
well
pretty,
done.
yeah.
Thank you.
And super super adorable story. So what do you think, Mia? Do you have any questions, something that you'd like explained? Some particular insights that you have from this? Anything else you'd like to share?
I think actually Trisha, if I'm not sure, showed
Mm,
me. She sent me an email about this challenge on YouTube. So
mm.
I didn't actually know what it was about. I asked AI and they told me show Ching Ha. I don't know, beginning, middle, twist, end. I was like, okay, let's do it. I think my biggest struggle was not trying to make a long story, like not overcomplicating it, and also like
Mm.
putting it in a panel into four panels where it's good, it's a good story, but it's also short and to the point.
Mm. Okay,
I
actually
mean,
Yeah.
that's really good.
yeah, consider that a good thing because like here's the irony when it comes to like making simple stories. It's easy because it's simple, but it's challenging because how do you make it interesting enough despite it being simple? And if it's any reassurance, the fact that your submission was shortlisted shows that it's it is interesting. I mean, that's why it's here. Right? So yeah. And just keep, we highly encourage you to like, just keep practicing, keep making more. You can use real life experiences that inspire you, or just anything under the sun. Keep making it, and the more that you make manga, the more that you learn how to make even the most mundane experiences very interesting. Yeah, it's a cliche. It's cliche advice, but it works. Yeah. All right. Okay.
Okay, thank you guys. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're
Aw, you're
very welcome. You're very welcome.
welcome.
Thank you for participating in this, Mia. Good job. Good job. Okay, so again, thank you for that. I would like to move on to our last one for the day. I want to call on, oh my gosh, my Zoom window disappeared. Mallory, are you still here? I believe I'm so
We are
sorry.
summoning Mallory.
I know I saw you here in the chat a while
Yeah.
ago and in the Zoom. Are you still
I
here? I
think
think you are still here.
yeah. Is
Mallory?
Mallory using a like a use maybe Mallory has a different username. You could use
I see a
the
Mallory here.
oh,
Um,
got it.
Mallory from the US, Thompson, I
Okay, is
believe.
this you, Mallory? Let's Mallory. Okay, there we go. Oh, yeah, but we want to make sure Mallory is Mallory can unmute. Can you hear us? Are you still with us? Yeah,
Going
maybe
once, Miss Mallory.
not to assume, of course.
Oh, I
Ah,
see.
got it. Okay, so
Oh, I see, I
careful.
see.
Got it.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm so sorry. Okay. If you don't mind us asking you, maybe you could reply even just via chat. Um yeah, we'll carry on with your critique, but we do want you to let all of us know. So tell us about what inspired your Yonkoma, what exactly it's about, and anything that you want to share about it, like if you had any difficulties, if you if you had any specific like insights while you were doing it, like before or after you submitted, please feel free to just share it in the chat and we will read it aloud for you. So yeah, we're gonna give you a moment to do that. Hang on. I'm gonna give you a moment to do that. And while you are doing that, Miss Mallory, I will go over some of the points that we have listed here. Okay.
Yeah.
So,
Coach Fai, I think
mhm.
we can read a bit of what Mallory mentioned in the form when they sent this in.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, okay. So Mallory said when they submitted this, they said the children are celebrating Christmas and the dog is confused as to why dad is dressed like Santa. So that's
Right.
that's the context here. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, okay. Right. So, first off, I want to say that this is a very it's like exactly as what I said a while ago. Like we suddenly had a lot of submissions about pets, which is really cute. It's really cute. So I want to say it's a very cute and adorable, wholesome story. It's simple and it has a pretty okay Kisho Tenketsu flow. So we start with, you know, the exposition, like laying down the groundwork of the story, which is dad is dressed up as Santa, the development of the story, which is like it progressing into the dog's reaction. It's like, whoa, wait a minute, something's wrong. And then in the third panel, we have Santa slash dad kind of feeling awkward at the dog's reaction. And then in the fourth panel, we have the whole thing wrapping up with the dog and the dad's reaction to each other. So it's a very simple and very solid kind of a very solid kind of flow to here. I also appreciate that you have a really good use of the negative space. So it really set the stage here. You properly drew the Christmas tree, all of it, the family in the background, and also even the sofa and everything. So that's really good on you. So yes, hello Mallory.
Yeah,
It's
I
nice
got
to
it
see.
working. Sorry.
Oh, I'm glad. I'm very glad. If you had anything to add on top of the description that you said, please feel free to share so.
Uh, no, that's pretty much it. I just kind of got the idea of, well, I have a dog and my dog doesn't like, beards. So I thought, well, it'd be kind
Oh.
of, yeah. So,
Oh, dang.
like, I had a relative come and visit one time and he had a big beard and he was pretty scared of it. He was like, "Who's this? I don't know who this is." So
Oh.
then
Oh,
I
poor
got the
baby.
idea, like, what if it was Santa or something? Or what if it's like a family member dressed as Santa and the dog doesn't get it? But it's like he's confused because he's
Smells like
uh
dad.
smells like dad, yeah. It's like I'm gonna see if that's dad, and then yeah, and then the beard comes off, and then it's like the kids are like, wait a minute, that's not Santa.
Oh,
This is
okay. I'm kind
adorable.
of that's adorable, and I do get that because dogs are funny. Dogs are funny because
Yeah.
I also have a similar experience with my old boy. He's not with us anymore, Rip.
Mhm.
But when he was, he I don't know why he hates men. Like he only ever snuggled up to like the female members of the family, even though like nobody did anything to him. It's just a funny thing about dogs, isn't it? That's the joy of them. So thank you. That kind of brings a bit more context to this. So I do want to confirm something just based on what you said. So in this third panel, is it like the dog is kind of like he's mad and he wants to get mad. So at first he's like angry, he doesn't like Santa, but then in the end it's like, "Oh, it's daddy." Is that
Yeah.
right? Am I correct?
Well, I kind of was going with like he was a little confused and he's growling because he's like, why is he dressed like that? Like I don't get that. You know, why is
Oh,
he?
okay.
Then he jumps on him and then yeah, then he loses his beard. He's like, oh, it is just him. So
Okay, okay. So, I think I'm glad that we were able to interpret that correctly. So, thank you so much. And again, super adorable. Just a day in the life of, dog owners. Anyway, okay. So, just to breeze over the notes that I had. So, again, you have some very good use of the negative space here, really sets the stage. I think some of the things that we can improve here are um so when you passed the whole image here, I noticed that if you guys can see like the borders of the like when I try to transform this image, there was like a big negative space here on the side. So I want to caution you against doing that. If you have a whole page, so for example, oops, for example, this is your whole page. I want you to use the whole thing. So use as much as you can. Here, I would generally recommend the standard format that we kind of use, which is the long horizontal type of panels. So yeah, just more of really maximize the space that you have. At first, I would say that the mood of the story isn't as clear until I gave it like another read. But and this is more because I own the dog, so I understand this kind of reaction. But I think we can improve it a little bit more in terms of making it clear that the dog is having a weird, confused sort of reaction by putting some more manpu and like making some things clearer here. I'm gonna get to that in a bit. And then, while you did have a really good use of the negative space here, it does feel a little bit crowded. But we don't necessarily have to like erase anything here. What I would do is actually just because I feel like the lines are blending into each other a little bit. So I think one suggestion I have is perhaps you could use thinner lines for the background. So here I would be doing something called sculpting, just to like very barely illustrate the point. Like I'm going to be putting this Christmas tree, the fireplace, and even the sofa and everything. If I made all of these lines a little bit thinner, they're kind of going to fade into the background a little bit more, but it's not gonna take away anything too vital to the scene. So another suggestion, again, a thousand ways to cook an egg, thousand hundred, however however many you wanna. Let me just read my notes here. You could make the silhouettes a little bit more recognizable so that they don't blend into the background or into each other, so that we can see the details like the Santa outfit and the accessories, and also here. So it's kind of similar to what I recommended Charisse a while ago. For example, maybe I would make since I advise you to use more of the space here, one thing, hang on, let me just, there we go. One thing that you could do is simply to just move the whole family a little bit to the right. Oh my gosh. Moving it a little bit to the right maybe distance the mom a bit. I am assuming that this is the mom. And then maybe you could put Santa dad a little bit more. Oops. Oops, where am I going? There we go. A little bit more towards the middle. So see how that kind of makes it a little bit more. So it's still going to be a bit more a bit cozy, but just a few adjustments kind of make it a little bit more clear. Another thing you could do is, since I can tell that you did this digitally, you could use like screen tones as well. You could study up on them, and then you make sure that when you put in when you color things in, especially the background, you have to make sure that um that dad and the family stand out a little bit more. So that is with the experimentation of screen tones. Excuse me. Okay, so um, when I say trying to make things clearer when it comes to the dog's reaction, so we're kind of going from the point of view of a dog here. And again, as I mentioned, I kind of got this because I had a dog. But what if the person reading doesn't have a dog or doesn't really know what is happening? So I think the simplest thing I could say here is replace one of these with a question mark. So it's like, huh? Who's that? So the dog isn't really going to be able to convey the same emotions unless you choose to put like thought bubbles here. But I think this is the thing is I think this is good as is in terms of the dialogue. This is simple to the point. You've got less than 10 words, and that's already fantastic. So you have to convey the dog's emotion with expressions and with manpu. So maybe he's got his eyes open. Maybe you could add some aggression, like just add his eyebrows. He's like, huh? What is that? But you could also emphasize these question marks because he's confused, right? He's like, I kind of don't like this, but it smells like dad. So what the heck is this? Here, um, here, this contextualizes this reaction a lot more, right? So here it's like he's confused. Am I gonna be excited? Am I gonna be mad? Oh, another thing I just thought of. You could probably add some more movement here, like his tail is wagging. Because again, it's dad, but it's not. So I'm not sure. So maybe you could add that wagging tail because dogs do that. And also you could probably move mom over a little bit more so that there's space for the dog and his reactions. So again, I'm gonna move her a little bit here, and maybe we can move our good boy. We can move our good boy a little bit to the left just to center things a bit more. Oops, where am I? There we go. Oops, my bad. So again, wagging tail, a bit more manpu, just a tiny bit. It contextualizes this part. I think I would love to see this angry growling to be like some sort of exaggerated sound effects. Like you could play around with it. Like when you read manga, sometimes they'll have it in like a stylized way, like maybe it's jagged. And again, this is a suggestion. You could explore a bunch of different fonts maybe just to drive because I'm all about really expressing the emotion here. And on that, we're also gonna go on to the dad's expression, which is like, what's going on here? He's kind of like, what exactly are you doing? So simple thing is to make sure that we can see the shape of his eyebrow. So I'm going to just like barely erase part of his hair here, and then I'm gonna kind of exaggerate this the eyebrows, and then I can see that the way you drew this is more of it's just like line art. So maybe you could add some more hatching here on the manpu just to like emphasize it a little bit more. Maybe here some more manpu you could use for the dog. You could put like the angry vein. Wait, let me use red for that. The angry vein, just to emphasize that I don't like this. I don't like this bearded guy who smells like that. And then here, so I'm just gonna reiterate what I said about the spacing here. But we want to focus on the fact that he pounced on dad, but he discovered that it is dad. It's not actually just like this random hoodlum. So let me overlay that just slightly. So I would move this Christmas tree. Actually, no, not the Christmas tree. Scratch that. I will move dad and the dog and the dialogue a little bit to the right so that it's a bit more balanced. I'm gonna cut the dialogue away a little bit. Okay. I'm gonna move them over here. Dialogue can be, since we're gonna extend the canvas anyway. So here, going to Santa Dad. Sorry, I'm zooming a little bit close here. We wanna make sure that we see the dog's reaction is what's important here because we already know. We already know this is just dad. So I would say tilt his head up a bit and then really um oh, actually you could go about this in a couple of ways. I just realized. Maybe he pounces on him because he thinks he's like an intruder, right? And you know how dogs are always going to sniff people. So maybe while he's sniffing dad, he's like, "Ooh, papa." So I don't know if you can hear any noise in my background. I do apologize because as I said that, my cats are yelling in the background. But anyway, just as a just as a little precaution. So sorry guys if you hear like a baby in the background. It's my cats. But okay, so maybe he pounced and the reaction of the dad is what's going to make it look like he pounced in what was initially anger. So but then the dog is like, "Oh, it's daddy." And then maybe dad is over here like, "Yo, yo, what's happening?" So we want to make this clearer. So you want to leave space between the hair and the eyebrows. So I'm going to bring that up a little bit. Maybe you could even make him look a little bit like messed up because the dog just pounced on him. So maybe his hair's a little bit messy. Maybe you could actually maybe you could make him like give an awkward smile. Like, boy, it's just me. Why are you mad? And then we're gonna emphasize the hat falling off. We don't want it to blend too much in with the Christmas tree. One thing that I can recommend so that your characters stand out more is you can add some very, very light hatching. So just to like some parts like here or here. And of course, we don't have time to do the whole thing, but this is more of like, so we can emphasize that there is more form. We're kind of giving more like three dimensionality to the elements that are in front, which are your characters. So I would kind of make the hat kind of get tossed in the air like this. And then I would add, oops, maybe a little bit of hatching.
Can I make a suggestion as well, Coach Fi? Like
Of course.
another way that you can make stuff in your foreground, or basically the stuff closer to the camera or to the reader, you can thicken the outlines of
Yep.
the important subjects. So for example, in your last panel you have Papa and Doggo, so the outer lines should can be thicker. In some cases, what I've seen in manga, sometimes they have like this little white outline outside of the thick black outline, just so they're a
Two
bit,
outlines, basically.
yeah. But the white one isn't necessarily it's not, you can choose whether or not you want to use it, but in some cases I've seen some mangaka use that to their advantage, just so it doesn't make the subjects blend in the background. And secondly, I observed here, Mallory, that when you kind of use the same line weight for the Christmas tree in the back. So what to kind of like just make your subjects pop even more, consider your background props, your stage props, having thinner lines, because they're in the back. They're not as important as what's happening in front. So like that's another thing that you can do as well. Yeah.
There. So I'm kind of simulating something similar to what Coach Karen said. So as you can see, I'm going over something you already drew, just making a couple of edits here, but we're already making dad and the dog stand out a lot more. So what I did was I made the background fade in, like literally fade into the background just a tiny little bit. And yeah, and I am so I am emphasizing the emotion here in their faces. He's like, "Hey, boy, it's just me." And here, it's more of a matter of the body language of a dog, right? So things like not just the smile, but the licking of the face or the perked up ears, the wagging tail, and all of that. Yeah. So, I just to confirm, the one saying, "Wait, that's not Santa," it's the kids, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Awesome. Okay, okay. So, uh, I think you could probably actually no, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. What do you think, Coach Karen? Are we good here? Because I think it didn't
Mhm.
require too much.
Yeah, yeah, honestly. I think like this in of itself is like, you know, already really good.
Mm-hmm.
So there's opportunities to make some emotions and some of your foreground elements pop, but overall I think you did pretty good, Mallory. This is like the first time you've done yonkoma, or have you been like making comics, manga,
Uh,
yonkoma in the past? Yeah.
I've not made Yonkama until I started doing this, but
Ooh.
I've done a few comics. But
Mhm.
Oh, okay.
digitizing it, I haven't actually drawn that. I've done it all pencil drawings basically. So it was
Oh, I know.
one of my first time digitizing it was here. So
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, I assume that you enjoyed the experience, and just as encourage, we want to encourage you to make more, because this is really a really, really good start, for someone who's just starting making
Yeah.
yonkoma. Yeah. And I hope that you consider sharing what you've learned, what you've made, online. I think people would enjoy it. People enjoy this type of story. It's so relatable, it's adorable. And yeah, I
Yeah.
thank
hope
you.
you're welcome. You're
Very welcome.
welcome. Yeah. And for everyone who's watching here in Zoom and on YouTube, so feel free to share your takeaways as well. So there's a lot to be learned even from just listening to feedback that your other fellow mangakas get. Sometimes you learn from the critiques given for other people. So yeah. Yeah. Okay. So I think, is this it? Is,
Yeah.
is this all, Coach Fi? Just
Yes,
making sure.
this is
Oh,
all
that's
for this
awesome.
session. So,
Nice.
before we do move on to the last part, because
Mhm.
we're not quite done. At least
Mhm.
we still have something to tell you guys. But what do you think, Mallory? Did you anything in particular that you wanted to ask or clarify, or particular takeaways from this one that maybe they'll help you in your future comic making? What do you think?
Well, it was interesting watching the other people's stuff because I thought maybe third panel was supposed to be the one that has like the climax in it. I wasn't quite sure if mine actually did that because it was more like the surprise was at the end rather than the
Mm.
middle. So
Mm. Okay, okay. Actually, so using like the word climax would kind of be more it's more appropriate for the Western structure. So like what we've been sharing, it does take some getting used to, because trust me, it's also something that us coaches are it kind of needs reminding sometimes. But it's not quite the same as having like the exposition, rising action, the climax, and then the falling action, and then the conclusion, which is in the Western story structure. So here, the third panel, I think it did quite well because it already gave you the twist, which is it's not necessarily the conflict, it's not necessarily where the peak action is. It's just the point where it's like, oh, something new happened in this story to move it in a different direction, which is simply that the dog doesn't like doesn't like that dad is dressed up. And I think that in and of itself, you did pretty well.
oh, thank you so
Yeah,
much.
you're
I learned
absolutely
a lot. So
welcome. I'm glad
You're
to hear.
welcome.
You sound very pleased about it, and I'm very glad to hear that you regularly make your own comics. So just like what Coach Karen said, if ever you might be editing this, please go ahead and feel free to share it with us and online one day. We'd love to see that. We'd love to see that.
Yay. All right. And with that being said, I guess you all got everyone deserves like a big round of applause. So we are glad that you enjoyed this experience. You learned a lot. I also seeing some people on our YouTube share their takeaways. So we hope that all the tips that you've learned from this session, you guys apply it on your future manga or yonkoma drawing practices as well. Okay, so we're gonna be moving on because we're a little bit short on time. So now that you know how to polish your yonkomas, we want to ask you guys: are you an action taker who seriously wants to take your manga art and storytelling skills to the next level? Are you goal driven and believe it's your life's mission to share your story and ready to commit and reach your full potential? And lastly, are you a determined mangaka who wants to put your story out into the world by joining contests and eventually work with publishers? So if this is you, type yes in the chat. I'm already seeing the yeses. Yes. All right. And same for our YouTube viewers as well. If this is you, type yes in the chat. Okay, all right. So I think all of you, most of you are. Yeah. Okay. So, if you answered yes to any of those questions, then we are inviting you to apply to our one-shot manga drawing program. So, just like our students, you'll learn everything from manga drawing basics to crafting a full one-shot manga from start to finish. So, here's what some of our students have made. So, we've got Donovan, who was able to finish one chapter of his series in just 4 months. We also have Courtney's progress after 9 months. Have you seen as have you seen earlier? We also have Eduardo's progress after 5 months. In fact, he already posted this one shot in Manga Plus Creators, so you can find his work pinned in our community. It's in our community chat, so feel free to check it out. And we even have Monohan J. So he's in the YouTube. He's in the live chat right now watching. Shout out to you. So yeah, he was able to like develop his skill in making yonkoma, and he's also on his way to making his one shot for a contest this year. So yeah, they're all getting the support from the mentors and coaches right now. So now that you've seen our students' results and you've seen how happy they are with the community and guidance from our mentors, the question we want to ask you is, do you want into? If you want in, go ahead and type I want in the chat. Yeah. Corey, I can see Corey being all excited. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I want in. Jim also wants in. Ikara. We got Owen. All right. Mia. Yeah. You're all welcome, guys. So like, yeah, you're all welcome to try your hand at it. Because if you want to make your time making more manga meaningful and more productive, then this program is for you, the one shot manga drawing program. So we're on a mission to accelerate your growth all while having fun together. We also are working with pro mangaka mentors like Steph Pastrano. We have Nao Yazawa, or the GOAT Yazawa sensei. We have Renesaya, also the GOAT. And of course, our very own Art Crumbs here in the Zoom chat with us. So you can definitely work with these amazing mentors. But if you take this opportunity to be part of the program. So yeah, it's for you if you're committed, you have a unique story you want to share with the world. You're done figuring this out alone, because we're all about community here, and you're ready to learn from our mentors, our pro mangaka mentors, and most especially connecting with fellow mangakas who are equally as determined and consistent and empowered in pursuing their dreams in making that manga that they're proud of. Yeah. So if this sounds like you, then you're invited to apply and join our one shot manga drawing program. So our new term starts next week. Actually, it's gonna be next week. It's just around the corner. And of course, we only accept applicants 18 years old and above. So if you all, whoever is watching, if you're not 18, that's okay. We still have a wealth of information that you can find in our YouTube channels. But if you're 18 and above, then this is your opportunity. Okay, I'm seeing Cherise here. I think Cherise is also one of the peeps who are gonna be joining us next week. Yeah, we're so excited. Yeah, I see some people here who are about to join us next week. So if you wanna be just like them, you gotta take this opportunity. Go ahead and book that free manga consultation call. So we got here the link up here in the on screen. You can take a screenshot of this QR code. By scanning this QR code, it's gonna direct you to the page where you can book your call. Alternatively, we have the I'm actually trying to find the call link here. One sec. Okay, I'm gonna be posting your so your what do you call this? Your booking link. Oh gosh. Oh, it's that same link here that you see on screen. Okay, if we could get that in the chat. Hang on. I am pasting that link right now. I'm so sorry, guys. I thought it was here in my notes. Yeah. So go ahead, and if you already booked through this session, let us know in the chat. I want to know if you took that opportunity. Yeah. How about our YouTube peeps? So I think someone from live, we have a few people watching from live who already booked that call. So go right ahead and book that call. You'll get the opportunity to speak to Trisha. So she's the team lead, the leader. She's the one who's made this happen. So you get a chance to like talk to her and discuss and talk about how you can work with us. Yeah. Okay. So, hang on. Let me check what's happening here in the Zoom chat. Yeah. All right. So, Mizuki, my Yonkoma already got critiques on this. I can't talk about it. No, don't worry, Mizuki. We're gonna be, you're already in the program, so we can continue discussing there. Yeah. So don't worry. No, no, you can. Yeah. Okay. And yeah, we'll be having my. We're gonna be on a call later, Mizuki. Don't worry. Okay, all right. I'm seeing. Oh, Jim already had a call. Aw. That's okay, Jim. There are still more opportunities. I think we've had some students who were not able to join last year but joined us recently. So there's always gonna be we have the door held open for you guys, because that's what these calls are for. We want to know if you're ready. You're ready. If you're not ready, that's okay, because that simply means you can still continue learning, and that's what we're here for.
Oh,
All right.
absolutely. Also,
Yeah.
guys, again, I sent a reminder about this in the chat and also in YouTube, but I just want to remind you guys, if you didn't see your yonkoma here or if you were not shortlisted, please do not fret. It doesn't mean that we didn't like it. It doesn't mean that you weren't specifically chosen. It just so happens that there are a lot of you guys who submitted, and we can only get to those of you who are here with us. And also, of course, we only have time for four yonkomas per session. The good
Mhm.
thing is, first of all, the good thing is this is not the last of our manga critiquing sessions. We will definitely have more of these because they ended up being a real hit during our past sessions.
Mhm.
And second and most of all, I know that this sounds corny, but take it from me, I have a lot of experience in the professional industry. Even Jackson said so themselves here in the Zoom chat, and all of our coaches and mangakas will say this, but take it as practice. So don't submit something just because you want to get it critiqued. Of course, of course, we are happy to, but submit it because, you are challenging yourself. Submit
Yeah.
it because you want to learn something while you are doing that. So it's not just for, the attention or anything. It is precisely because it's something that you like doing. Okay? Any
Exactly.
and Jack, our mentor Jackson said so earlier in the chat here. I can't quite find the message, but they said the more that you do it, the better that you will be. And that is how
Mhm.
art is, guys. take
Yeah.
it as a take it as an opportunity to learn something new, do something new each time. don't look
Mhm.
at don't look at it as, oh, I didn't get in
Yeah.
this time, or I wasn't here this time. It's hey, another thing to add to my list of things that I got done. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, the fact that you're able to like complete a Yonkoma, that's already a big win in of itself. Because a lot of people, like I mentioned earlier, a lot of people say, I want to do this, I want to make manga, but don't really end up doing it. It's all, woe is me. I want to do this. I didn't make this. But you guys did. You showed up. You sent in something. So the more you do that, even when there's no challenge, okay? Let's assume there won't be a Yonkoma challenge, you don't stop. You keep making it because you love it. And you'll realize in time, maybe in the next month or so, you not only did you develop your art skills, you also grew in your storytelling abilities because you kept making more, right? So take that as a wing. That's why it's called a challenge, not a contest. So anyways, I'll stay tuned. We're gonna have another Yonkoma critique session in a few hours, so that's gonna be at 1 p.m. Central Europe time, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, so that's a few hours from now. For those who didn't get critiqued today, tonight,
Yes, it's
the
about
time
like
zone.
8 to 9 hours
Yeah,
from now. For us over here in the Philippines,
yeah,
it's like almost noon.
yeah.
So it's
GM,
about 8 or 9 hours from now. Yes.
yeah, yeah. So
But
if you're on
you want to
GMT,
remind.
that's
Oh,
eight.
I'm so sorry. I
Oh,
lagged. I'm so
it's okay.
sorry, Coach
It's okay.
Karen.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I just wanted to say, guys, you're already seeing a lot of like testimonies from
Mhm.
our fellow students who are in the Zoom chat. Some of them are sounding off in the YouTube chat as well.
Mhm.
Um, we invite you to sign up and come along with us, especially because for this term the deadline is already next week, and a
Yeah.
lot of you a lot of you here are going to be joining us, and I look forward to meeting you again,
Yeah.
formally introducing myself to you within the program. And for those of you who are not quite there yet, now is the time. And I am seeing some people who are saying, oh, they can't make it just yet, maybe for whatever reasons. I know
Mhm.
Jim seemed to have mentioned it. I think I'm
Mhm.
seeing Owen, Michael as well. Do not fret, guys. We are here for you. We want to keep in
Yeah.
touch because we really want to foster that. We
Mhm.
want to foster. We want to stoke that fire in you. Okay.
Yeah, we're gonna hype you up, guys. Yeah. Okay. So I guess we're a bit running out of time. So see you guys later in the next few hours. If you're still gonna be here, we'll definitely save you a seat. If you can't make it to like this term, don't worry. There will be more opportunities in the future for as long as you guys are passionate about wanting to become the mangaka that you are always meant to be. We're gonna be here. We'll be ready for you. Okay, so where will you be tomorrow if you start today? The challenge is to take the leap. Okay. So, thank you so much, guys, for coming. We'll see you in the next few hours, and we'll see some of you next week on the 20th. Yay! Bye bye. Take care,
See you
guys.
guys.
Have a
Hopefully,
good
we'll see
one.
you here later again.
Yay! Bye bye.
See ya.